Welcome, Women in Film San Francisco Bay Area members and our guests. We are so happy that you are joining us this evening for our annual Spring Conversations and Connections. My name is Julie Rubio. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the president of Women in Film San Francisco Bay Area. Women in Film San Francisco Bay Area is a volunteer-run nonprofit organization that actively provides networking and educational and social opportunities for over 6,000 women in film, television, and digital media makers in the San Francisco Bay Area. We empower, promote, and celebrate women's creative work. Our mission is to provide critical support on creative works. We seek to deliver useful solutions and build a strong community. And we really would like to try and help further the craft for women working at all levels in digital media and in San Francisco Bay Area. And I wanted to start by recognizing that while we are in cyberspace currently, those of us in Oakland, Berkeley, Piedmont, Emeryville, Albany, California are on Leishon Ohlone territory. So if you'd like to, you could visit the link in the chat to identify your indigenous land if you know what it is. And we're going to go ahead and put that link into the chat too for you. I'd like to give a big shout out to all of our community partners. We had so many people, more than we ever have before, come out and support us tonight. Karen Larson and Associates, California Film Institute, the Jewish Film Institute, Women in Film Los Angeles, Black Member Forum, UC Berkeley Cinematic Arts and Production Club, Black Film Alliance, Black Film Space, Black Women Directors, and WIF US. We are supported tonight and have just received so much love from our community sponsors, so thank you. I'd also like to say a thank you to our board members tonight, organizers, Amy Zhang, Carol Hall, Neil Underham, Diane Walsh, Christina McKinley, Kelly White, and Nicole Carlson. Lastly, I would like to introduce our organizer of tonight's Conversation and Connections event. She really, truly is an extraordinary human being, and I love her. Let's give a big hand of applause to our board chair, Amy Zhang.
Thank you, Julie, and welcome everybody. It's so exciting to have people from all over the country and internationally, and hear from the Bahamas. And we'll hear from one of our special guests who's here actually from Ghana. So, reporting out to Ghana, traveling out to Ghana for right now. So I'm going to give very brief intros to everybody. I could go on for about an hour singing the praises and the accolades and the experience of our guests, but I know you want to hear from them directly and not from me. So who brings all of our guests together is the award-winning director, Joslyn Rose Lyons, who's produced and directed diverse content for Lionsgate, STARZ, Warner Brothers, BET, Showtime. And two of her recent films are last year, she was impact producer on Speaking Truth to Power about Barbara Lee, and that went on to win a number of NAACP awards. Excuse me, I'm just trying to get through all of this very quick, and can still be seen. You can stream it very easily. She most recently debuted her feature film that she directed on Showtime called Stand, which was about the pioneer activist and basketball prodigy Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, which is an extraordinary story. You definitely want to see this film. Also in the film is Stephen Curry, Steve Kerr, Shaquille O'Neal, Jalen Rose, Mahershala Ali, Ice Cube, and more. And she's currently working on her documentary, Tying Up Loose Ends, Tales of the Tape, which looks at the role of the mixtape played during the growth of the hip hop movement in the 1970s, with a long list of stars, including Kendrick Lamar, and will be released this summer. Also joining us is J. Alphonse Nicholson, who is just capturing everybody's hearts these days with his leading role on P-Valley as LIL MURDA, and can't even mention the show and mention you without people talking about what that character means to them. But as well as that show, you also had a beautiful role in Just Mercy, true story, that very important story that people also, I really highly recommend that they see, and was in a film about Madam C.J. Walker on Netflix, and has done also extensive work off Broadway and on Broadway, including the Roundabout Theater Soldiers play. Donald Lacy is a local boy, born and raised here in the East Bay in Oakland, and amongst other things, has his show ColorStruck that's been playing continuously for 15 years, evolving, always staying current, and soon to also be a streaming special. They filmed it recently in front of a live audience in San Jose. His television credits include LA Heat, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, and Wolf. And he is joining us tonight, or early morning, I think it may be, what, 3 a.m. for you, Donald? From Ghana, where he actually did stand up last night. Is Hill Harper here yet? I'm not sure if he's arrived yet. I think we're still waiting on him.
Yes, yes, he's here.
He is here. Okay, great. Welcome, Mr. Harper. So Hill Harper is a humanitarian, award-winning actor, a best-selling author, entrepreneur, health and wellness ambassador, educator, philanthropist, and I've heard is doing a lot about economic equity and investing also. Best known for television series, CSI New York, for which he won 3 NAACP Image Awards. Television series Covert Affairs, Homeland, and The Good Doctor, more recently, only to name a few. And last but not least, newcomer on the screen at the beginning of her career that I'm sure is going to take off from here is Kimberly Marie Olivier, who is an accomplished professional ballet dancer, spent 12 years, or is it 13 years, with the San Francisco Ballet from 2009 to 2021. And Butterfly Boxing, the film that unites them all, is the film that is Kimberly Marie Olivier's debut. And you have here with you the entire cast of this short film that is a short film that's won numerous, I think close to or plus or minus 10 awards at international film festivals here and abroad, and is on its way also to being made into a feature film, which we're going to hear more about all of the team who's here tonight, their journey on the short, as well as its journey to becoming a feature. And also joining us tonight are Selena Rochester, Erica Connor, Johanna Saldana, Dominique Moulton, Shania Banton, Nick Mahar, and Matthew Head, who are also all a part of making this incredible short film. First, though, for those of you who did not have the opportunity to see the film at one of the local film festivals in this country or internationally, they have made, Joslyn has done a special 6-minute version of the film that we're going to play for you here tonight. So, Christina, are you ready to roll this 6-minute short for us?
Yes.
And then we will launch into the discussion. And there, I'm going to do somewhat of an interview with them, and then I want to open the floor to Q&A from the audience. This is your night as well as mine.
Radio, David D.
Guys hear that?
Hanging out with you this afternoon.
Yes.
I want to give a wonderful shout out to everybody in this wonderful place called Oakland.
What if there was a land where dreams went to
Be all right. Stamina and endurance. Stamina, that's right. Stamina and endurance.
All right, okay. I got it, goddamn.
Like it? Okay, what you got? Give me that. Give me some.
You get that rent from Rose yet?
Tomorrow. Don't worry about that. Just focus. Just focus. Focus on tonight. That's it.
When the last time we raised that shit?
You cash money. Right? You ain't gonna lose. You just need to focus, though. We need to work on this left arm.
Yeah, how many pills that's gonna take? Huh? How many fights it's gonna take to clean up this mess? Would you just gonna keep me drugged up like Pops?
Pops never did.
Like hell he didn't, and you don't know. You don't know shit. Just look at this place. Sell it. You take your half. You open up a real community center. That's how you honor Pop's legacy, not by trying to run an empty gym.
When you fucking
Right?
gave a fuck about
Man,
Pop's
fucking
legacy.
look around you. Hey, don't nobody come here no more. It's fucking pathetic, man.
Just worry about tonight. Worry about tonight.
It's the last time, man.
Cash money. All right, let me just close up real quick. We get on. Oh.
Take it. It's yours.
Thanking me for keeping you here.
I don't...
You're stuck, Rose. Behind this glass, this dusty shadow box of nostalgia. It's time to find something new. You saw my future, Rose. Maybe it's time to find your own.
Thank you. Thank you to the entire team, and especially to Joslyn, Harper, Alphonse Nicholson, Donald Lacy, and Kimberly Marie Olivier. I really appreciate this film. I just want to say, having seen the longer version of the film, I've only watched it on my computer, but having seen it a number of times, and then this shorter version a couple times, like a really powerful poem. Every time I see it, I get new things out of it that I can relate to personally and that I see much more in a deeper way. So I hope for the rest of the audience that you'll have an opportunity to have the same experience of the film that I have. And also Joslyn and others, I'm hoping that there will be a broader life that this short can have, as well as the feature. So I wanted to, the questions that I'm going to have, some of them will be for certain ones of you who worked on the film to answer, and some of them will apply to all of you. I'm going to keep my questions moving along, and then want to save some time at the end of our program to also have key questions from the audience for you. Some of my questions will be about butterfly boxing, some about the feature coming up, and some about your outside careers about this. So Joslyn, I first wanted to ask, what was your inspiration for this film? And along with that, in addition to your personal inspiration for this film, how much of the character development when you were conceiving of this project was based on the actors and actress that you were hoping to play those roles?
Thank you so much, Amy. Yeah, I mean, it's really an honor to be here with everyone who helped make this project, at least some of the people. And I will start by saying that Joanna and I had been working for a number of months on a polishing phase for Shadowbox, which is my feature scripted that I'm in development on. And not to get too much into the weeds on the process and all of that, I'm very fascinated by creative process, especially other people's, but so I was talking to Selena one day, Selena Rochester, who's here with us tonight, one of our executive producers as well. And she said, look, I mean, why don't you make a short film? And I had just sent the script to Hill Harper, and Hill called me 2 days after I sent it, thinking he would call me maybe like a week or two later. He called 2 days later and was like, I love it, I'm in. And even if you only have $1, I'm making this film with you. So Hill, I remember you said that. And it was just a really just timely thing. And so Selena said that. It was kind of mid-pandemic. I called up some amazing friends and colleagues, including Erica Connor, who's here with us tonight, one of our amazing executive producers. And I've known Erica forever. We have an amazing story to tell about our journey in film together. Goes back almost longer than probably everybody here. And I called up others as well, Dominique Mouton, Shania Banton, of course, Joanna was on board. And then I called Nick Mahar, our DP, and of course, I called Alphonse, and one of the things that Alphonse said was, of course, yes, and I have someone in mind who can play Ant, and he brought Donald Lacy to the project, and he was just spot on. I mean, Donald's energy and just everything so aligned with the character. Could not have been a more perfect casting by Alphonse. And then Kimberly came to us by way of STARZ in San Francisco. And she's amazing. So it was just a beautiful collaboration. And we did it wearing masks in the height of the pandemic. And it was a little stressful, I think, especially for Nick, my DP, because he was carrying a lot of equipment along with the ACs, and, with masks on, we were just making it work. We were keeping our crew really thinned out on set, which was a little stressful. Erica can talk about that, and so can Dominique, that, having a skeleton crew when you need more hands, just because we wanted to limit bodies inside of locations. This woman, Lisa, who runs Fit Evolution in Oakland, was so kind to let us use her amazing boxing gym to shoot the majority of the interiors. But yes, it was just truly a collaboration of great creative minds and spirits. And I couldn't have imagined it more exact to how it came out. And I think that is the key to any creative vision, is just being really intentional and specific. And once it's true, it's like you build it, they come. Once you visualize it and it's aligned with your heart, your art, then I feel like the right people will find you and find the project. And that's exactly how Butterfly came to be.
Wow. Sometimes filmmakers are at liberty to share this info and sometimes not. Can you share with us what your budget was?
It was not much of anything, actually. Everybody who helped make this happen, we did it as artists working in the spirit of art. So I spent everything I could and needed to spend to make it happen. But everybody who was a part of Butterfly Boxing truly donated their time and their love. And I'm just so grateful for all of that.
Wow, beautiful, which really speaks to the power of the vision that you had for this. Would love to hear from Hill Harper, J. Alphonse Nicholson, Donald Lacy, and then after them to hear from you, Kimberly. But for those of you with thriving, working careers on film and theater who are like really making a good living, making a mark with a big following professionally, what was it about this project that inspired you to take the time and to give your heart to this project?
Who wants to go first?
How about you?
I'll jump in. Yeah. Well, it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for taking the time to, support and acknowledge and recognize all of our hard work that went into this project. It's hard to believe that it was a year ago now, and how things are, slightly different. COVID is still around, but obviously not as heavy. But during that time, everyone's saying, hey, I want to work, and I was in between. I had done a couple projects throughout COVID, but it was nice to have something that was so intimate and personal, and to also be gifted the opportunity to produce on as well. So my first producing credit, shout out to Joslyn for making that happen. Shout out to all the Black women and women of color who had their hands on this project. And so that was really what drew me to it. And initially was just the diversity behind the scenes, and that means a lot to me, to be able to support these women and all of their efforts and what they're doing. And then reading the script, I said, okay, this is unique, it's different, it's really great. And being blessed enough at a point in my career where the money, it doesn't really matter. And so although we all want to make a living and provide for our families, it's nice to be able to take an opportunity to say, hey, this is a work of love, and everyone that's giving their all to this is doing it, not for much at all. And shout out to Joslyn for, I'm sure, coming out of pocket and taking care of our flights and hotels and all those amazing things. So it was just a great experience. And then working with Hill Harper, who I've been seeing grace the screen since I was a young lad, and hoping that my energy is able to connect with his, and it did immediately. And then to be able to bring Donald Lacy onto the project, who we met in Oakland many years ago doing a project called Fences, which is the show that I actually met my wife when I'm, so my now wife, I met while working on that show. So Oakland has a very special place to me in my heart. So that was another reason why I said I have to tell this story, because it's based in Oakland. And so, yeah, just a wonderful experience, and so nice to be a part of a project, not quite from the beginning, but very, close to the beginning, and bring what I can to it. I was able to bring Matt Head to it, the composer of the film, who was also the composer for P-Valley, who also then ended up becoming the composer for Stan. Did I say it right? Stan Stratton. It's just nice to kind of be a bridge builder, as I like to say, and bring my talents to whatever I could do to help Butterfly Boxing. And then we win all these awards, and so it kind of blows you away. So it's nice to have a balance in your career where it's like, yeah, you're doing stuff on the highest level possible, whether it's getting a Tony Award on Broadway, or whether it's, a show like P-Valley that's breaking records, to a small independent film like this, which I'm sure is going to continue to make a lot of noise in the room.
Really, that's really beautiful. And no wonder you seem familiar from being here and doing Fences. So
Yeah.
I saw you then performing with Donald, because I was like, how did you bring Donald, who him and Jocelyn are both Oakland natives, how did you bring him to this project? So that's beautiful. Thank you. And then I was wondering, J. Alphonse, what aspect of the part that you played was yet another area of growth for you personally as a performer, as an actor? Did you box before, something creatively, personally? How did you personally grow from this role?
Well, on the business side of it, just that producer mind, that velocity muscle kind of working in that range, it really helped me grow. And I was super excited about saying, hey, this is what I can bring to it. But at the same time, I'm here to take a back seat and support Joslyn fully. And whether that's just, hey, you need to talk for a second, you need to have a conversation about it. So growing in that area was really nice. You know, and then, yeah, the boxing, I had never really boxed before other than just playing around in the gym, those type of things. So to pick up on a few techniques and watch a couple videos. We also had a consultant who came in. I forget his name, but he was great. He's an Oakland legend as well.
Andre Ward.
Andre Ward.
Yes.
Yeah, shout out to Andre Ward who came in and gave us a few tips and some videos. But yeah, it was nice, you know, and it was something that we had to pick up on fairly quickly, you know, on the day, just kind of being there and making it look good. So I think we made it look good, and I guess people think I can box a little bit, but I know Hill had done some lessons before as well, so just kind of following his lead.
Okay, I guess you'll get even better when it's time for shadow box, right?
Yeah.
You have to have those skills. Okay. I'm just got to put this in there that my grandpa was a boxer. My mom's on this call also. And
Nice.
I'd love to have my grandpa's picture somewhere in the background when you're making the feature. Just saying, if there's room somewhere. Anyway, but so thank you about that so much. I really appreciate that. Well, maybe at this point, let's pass the baton then to Donald. And then after Donald, I'd love to hear from Mr. Harper. So Donald, what was it like for you coming on this project?
Oh man, it was, if I could put it in a word, serendipitous. Joslyn is a genius. And I mean that truthfully. I'm not just saying that when I read the script, I could just see the layers in the full version shadow box, as well as the short version in which she writes, and the pictures she paints. You know, it was August Wilson-esque to me, which I want to shout out J. Alphonse, because as great as he is as an actor, he's even a better human being. And when we did Fences, we connected as brothers in a real and meaningful way. And I've been doing this a long time, you know, and I could count probably once someone that said, hey, hire my brother. And that was you, brother. So I'm grateful. And Joslyn, I appreciate you trusting him and bringing me along. But I remember the first day I was on set and I watched Hill and J. Alphonse, and their chemistry was so like this. I really believe they were brothers, and that speaks to their level of craftsmanship as thespians, actors. But you know, it's just the whole vibe, all the producers, everybody, and like Fon said, all the feminine divine energy. It was just a lovely set to be on. You know, and I the first day I was there, and I didn't have any scenes, but I was just reveling, you know, having been in on several sets, and just the energy and the high vibration of love that I could honestly feel from genuine human beings. So at this point in my life, I'm 64 and happy to make it. An Oakland man that made us to 64. I'm a unicorn. I'm Negrosaurus Rex. But anyway, I digress. But I just want to be around good people doing good things. And this was a great opportunity for me to be around some great people, great artists. And it was a joy to do.
Absolutely. So I want to ask you a follow-up question on that, Donald. Do you play any wind instruments? And what was your inspiration?
Yeah.
What do you?
Yeah. Call me Coltrane Jr. No, but actually,
okay.
My mentor, Archbishop King, the founder of the John Coltrane Church, that was actually his saxophone, and he gave me some lessons. And so I just did the best I could. But yeah. I had never touched a saxophone ever.
So we'll talk about bringing spirit to the production also, just to have his instrument as being a part of the production too.
Absolutely.
Okay. And what was your inspiration for that character? Very intriguing character you play.
In the longer version, just the way she wrote it, just, you know, the story, when you have writers of that ilk, all the blanks are filled in if you dig deep enough, and it was all there. So I just went with what she laid out, you know, and it was brilliantly laid out, all the characters in the story. And when you see the full-length version, you'll see just how layered. I mean, Joslyn deals with time, space, energy, spirit, but it's all based in love, if I could say that. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for that's a beautiful way of summing up what it was, the experience for you. The one thing I forgot to mention in your introduction, for those of you who are not aware, maybe those of you from outside of Oakland, that Donald is the founder of an organization called the LoveLife Foundation, named for his daughter, Louisa, who was lost to gun violence here in the Bay Area 25 years ago, a little over 25 years ago. And he has continued during that time continuously, without stop, no matter what else is going on, of enriching the lives of Oakland youth with media training, scholarships, etc. Check out lovelife.org for finding a way to help, be in partnership on that organization also and contribute, and look for the gala coming up later this year. But also Donald did the work of having the official motto of the city of Oakland called Love Life. And it is, you will see it on the freeway signs as you enter the city of Oakland. So thank you for the work that you do in our community, as well as entertaining us all, Donald. But appreciate that. I'm passing the baton to Hill Harper, who started off being the first actor to receive the script from Joslyn. Would love to hear your story of what it was that you found so exciting that you responded immediately to Joslyn, that you wanted to be a part of it. And
hey, thank you. Hey, everybody. It's lovely. It's wonderful for me to just sit back and hear everybody talk. True artistry is, to me, ultimately about vulnerability and empathy and heart. And Donald just said it. Joslyn writes with a great deal of heart. One of my favorite words that I kind of always go back to is the word courage. Speak French, that means it. Coeur means heart, and the root of that word is that. And so we live in a time right now in the so-called entertainment business where we've gotten in many ways away from the empathetic artist type of projects that allow us to do that type of work. You can sometimes find it in theater, but in film and television, it's not that always, most of the time. So the opportunity to work with other artists who want to dig deeper or want to allow themselves to be vulnerable and connect in vulnerable ways, that's a muscle that we all need to exercise if we're going to stay in the creative mode and if we're going to stay artistic. And so it's a wonderful pleasure to be in the company of artists, to be able to work with someone like Joslyn and Jay Alphonse and Donald and Kimberly and everybody who brings their heart to the project. And that goes for, from the DP level all the way through the executive producers. So it was a pleasure to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And Hill, I'm wondering, for you as an actor, in what ways was this character different for you in terms of the work that you did to embody this character? And what did you bring to it that you haven't brought to other characters, and or which ways did you stretch as an actor or internally as a person in embodying this character?
Respectfully, I don't think of it that way. I think that what you do, at least at this point in my career, is to try to get out of my own way and try to look for clues in the material, because the writer gives you the clues, and if you are willing to, so it's not really about other characters that you may or may not have played, and it's not about, what it's really about, trying to find the little nuggets and clues, seeing what hits your intuition, and then can you get out of your own head to allow those things to be vulnerable enough to allow those things to work and play through you, ultimately checking in with the writer director, because this is her vision. And that's the beauty of film versus TV, is that the director is the director. And in this case, the writer director, that's, we're here to fulfill that. And so having a collaborator that you can trust, that says, hey, do this, try this, go this direction, that direction, because if it doesn't work, you don't edit it into the project. It just doesn't make it. It ends up on the floor, so to speak. So it doesn't matter. Take risk and explore, and that's a beautiful. It's a benefit when you have a lot of trust with your fellow actors. I mean, Jay Alphonse is doing some of the best work in the world right now. So you know, you could just trust your partner and trust the material, trust your director, trust your instrument, and then get out of your way. I mean, that's to me, the mode.
That was beautiful. That last phrase that you just said would be such a beautiful way as to just tell people what acting is and like what your actual destination is to be able to get to that point. So thank you for putting it so beautifully and really reassuring us that the love that we saw and the trust that we see on screen is really what was happening behind the camera too, you know, on that other side. What a beautiful introduction. And Kimberly, how lucky are you for this to be your first experience being in a film? I've just got to say, having worked with so many people who've had good experiences, bad experiences, I am so happy for you that you were surrounded with this team of people to bring and welcome you into working on the screen, your transition, expanding your life as a dancer to being on the screen. So please tell us about what it was for you, your experience first time in a film.
Yeah, no, it was an amazing experience. I mean, I've been in films before, just not at this caliber, with these types of actors, and it was amazing in that sense. I've been surrounded by just like the theater and acting world, especially because of my brother, and he's an established writer and also an actor. So, and improvisation as well. So those are the types of things I was used to, but it was always in my comfort zone, whether it was like a student film or like a commercial, and commercial acting is way different, of course. So this was a surprise for me. At first I was like, it was quite last minute and a very unexpected call. I had a very late night and I got a call from Joslyn, and I just really clicked with her from the get-go. Like when she called me, I just could feel her energy. And I think what really helped was that the character was a very familiar story to my life. So I could connect completely with Rose. And I when I read the script, I was like, that's me. Like I feel stuck in a way. So it was a beautiful experience. And then of course I was intimidated, you know, going on set and being with knowing that I was going to be with established artists and established actors. And I didn't feel like I had that merit yet. And I am very much on that, you know, point of view, because with dance, I danced ballet since I was a young girl and really just focused in on that. And so I understood what it took, what it takes to get to that level. And so I just felt very blessed to be on set and very humbled and honored at the same time that everyone was super accepting. I had a little bit of felt like a little bit of an imposter, but then that really just went away. Like as soon as I met the actors and had some Zoom rehearsals with Donald at first. And then when I met Jay Alphonse, it was so easy. It was really chill. So it was great.
Great. Yeah. Bring it full circle again, Joslyn. I'd love to hear about your approach to working with the actors, and this could even be a conversation, this next section between Joslyn, Hill, Jay Alphonse, Donald, and Kimberly. If we could hear you talk about with each other, what it was like for you working with each other on this set, the ebb and flow of, as you hear Joslyn, your actors really revered your work, your script, and looked to you for direction and yet felt very free. So if you could share with each other what that was like. Did you work collaboratively? How much of it was adhering to the script?
I mean, it was pretty much a standard process. I mean, I gave everyone the script. There was some improvisation that happened on set, and I really trusted the process with that. Hill and Alphonse just had some kind of natural conversational back and forth during their sparring sessions, and we just ran with it, and it provided a lot to lean on in post-production. So I'm really grateful. When you work with pros, like everyone here, it's easy as a director because they help the vision come to life. And I can't say enough about all of their performances. They're just beautiful, separately beautiful together. Our producers, everyone on this call, Joanna, Selena, Erica, Dominique, Shania, you guys are amazing. Nick, and yeah, and actually going back to something that Alphonse said about Matthew Head, it's just testimony to that kind of trusting the alignment of our lives as creatives, because where I am at this moment is I just directed Stand, as Alphonse mentioned, and it premiered on Showtime last month. It's a documentary. For those of you who haven't seen it, I'd love for you to stream it. It's streaming on Showtime Paramount Plus. But Matthew Head was my composer on that. He did the music. And he also did the music on this short, obviously last year. And he came to me by way of Alphonse because he does the music on P-Valley. So these are just those relationships you build. And when I feel like when you're on your path, you'll, like I said, what's for you finds you. And I believe that wholeheartedly. So this project found me. The story kind of came through from the feature that I'm obviously developing, and the actors just really brought it to life. They pulled it right off the page and made it what it is. So yeah, they're magic. All of them.
I appreciate those kind words, Joslyn. It's you know, I think the tricky thing about this industry, right, is that especially for women, I feel like when you walk into a certain room, some people question like, oh, how did this person get here? Or how did this person get into this room? And so when you see someone that you're either familiar with or not familiar with, I think that's the main thing, is how did they get here, right? And so you quickly learn that Joslyn has gotten to where she's at because of hard work, because of her putting her best foot forward every time. You know, obviously, I think as men, we have this privilege of kind of walking into the room differently, right? And so being able to recognize that struggle, although it doesn't affect us every time, we have our own struggle as a Black man, but a woman of color just has a different struggle. And so to be able to walk into the room and feel her confidence, to feel how confident she was into the room, and to know that she earned this position just from all her hard work, was very inspiring, you know? And so it was easy, like she said, to kind of just be in that environment, because you know you work with people who put their blood, sweat, and tears into it, and aren't just here for the fame and the clout of it all, right? Want to be part of Hollywood or want to be a celebrity. And then the bridge building aspect of it is just, on my father's tombstone, it says bridge builder.
Wow.
So that means a lot to me. And so to be able to say, hey, I got this guy, this composer, this award-winning composer, I think he'll be great for this. And then to see it turn into Stan and them on Showtime, it's just amazing, you know, and to be able to, like I said, work. Harper and I were doing 2 different shows simultaneously at Signature Theater years prior to this. And he was doing Our Lady on 21st Street. I was doing, I think, Paradise Blue. And so we would pass each other in the halls. I have a picture of him and one of my good buddies throwing up the alpha thing, you know, and so to see years later that bridge finally was formed and connected. And then obviously the Donald Lacy connection, it's just nice. And I think everything happens for a reason. You know, I feel like when you work on certain projects, either it's meant for you to be there or it's not. And this was just one of those ones where everybody who's worked on this project was meant to be there. And so I just can't wait to see it grow. Kimberly, I know it was her first time being on, you know, a film set, but she was very professional, very open to obviously Joslyn's direction. And then as an actor, you never want to step on a director's toes or step on another's actor's toes, but she had no problem saying, hey, I got a question, is this working or is this problem working? And so, you know, I'm a strong believer in taking the best note in the room. I don't care if it's the guy sweeping the floor in the back. If he has a great note, let me get it. That way we can get the shot that we need. And so having that energy amongst everyone was just a wonderful experience.
Beautifully said. It's so true. It's also interesting, when we talked about the date for shooting this, I hope it's okay, Donald, to speak on that, or maybe I can let you speak on that. But it was an interesting thing. There was only so many dates that could work, and I kept calling Erica, and I kept calling Joanna and Selena and Dominique and Shania, and I'm like, what are we shooting this? And it kept changing because of locations. And then Donald's day was the 23rd, right, Donald? Am I correct? That was the date?
The 24th.
24th, right. So it was a very special date, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, for you.
Yeah, that was my daughter's birthday. So yeah, like Foz just said, there's no accidents. And when I go back to that, one of my favorite words, whenever I can use it, serendipitous. You know, in this trip here, I actually, yesterday, I had the blessing to be in front of this Ghanaian group of children, 250 strong of all ages, and they're saying her name and saying, "Love life, don't take life." I mean, I'm just honored to have been her father. It's clear to me what her mission is, you know, so I think that was just part of the serendipity of the whole thing, that I happened to be shooting on her birthday.
And, and it was also, amazing how the animation came to be. There was an animator who jumped on board, Miguel Roderick, and I'd worked with him on some commercial shoots, and but he really brought it to life. And it was a tricky thing to shoot. I'd never done it before, but I love magical realism, and Alphonse killed it. I mean, we just had to imagine the butterfly and time the eye line, and Nick Mahar, our amazing DP, just made it into magic. So it worked. But it was one of those things where you're just hoping that you get the timing right and the animator can build the butterfly and the whole thing worked the way we imagined. So all the way down to those details, it was just, yeah, it was just meant to be.
Beautiful. Yeah. I wonder if you could talk about what is happening at this point with the feature film, and also wondering, did all of you actors have an opportunity to read the feature film, either script or treatment, before working on the short? How have the feature concept and the short concept interwoven in terms of your access, as well as material from which to draw upon as you worked on the short?
I mean, I'll start that off by just saying we did keep the projects very separate for a lot of reasons, but the short is certainly inspired by an aspect of these two brothers in the film, and two other characters as well, Anne and Rose. So I think Joanna could even maybe speak to that. I don't want to put her on the spot, but she was at the very, very beginning of conceptualizing which pages we should pull out of Shadowbox. But I will say that they were two separate, they're two separate worlds. Shadowbox is kind of a separate fictional Oakland, and this was its own world. I think that it definitely had an impact on the actors and the work to some degree in terms of how I wanted it to come to be. But we did kind of keep them separate, although everyone other than Kimberly, who jumped in the night before the shoot started, had a chance, I believe, to read the material. So
sure, and I can just jump in on that a little bit as well. So when Joslyn was looking at turning a piece of the feature into the short film, first off, I would say that I just absolutely adore the creative process that Joslyn and I have been able to have. And the material that she presented in the feature for Shadowbox was just something that really spoke to me as a creator, as an artist in general, to see these characters that are really striving to find something better in themselves, to reach their true potential, to be what they are meant to be, is something that we all as artists and as people are striving to do. And it's really inspiring. So I think that through line from the feature of, like the line that Cash has, what are you doing here? Right. That was really the inspiring line that kind of pulled out the beats for us that were the most essential to put forward in the short, to look at these two parallel storylines of what Cash is experiencing and what Rose is experiencing. And why are they where they are? Where should they be? What will it take? And I think that's a question that we have to ask ourselves in our lives all the time. What will it take to make you do something different? What will it take to make you realize how short life is and how little time you have to achieve what you want to and who you want to be? And so that, I think, and Joslyn, I hope that I'm speaking to it correctly, but that on a very poetic level, that was what really pushed us forward with what to pull out for the short. And then it was just a matter of like going through the feature and finding the scenes that we felt were conducive to that theme, and you know, that met Joslyn's vision for that. And then I think Joslyn did some additional writing for the short as well to kind of like make it all tied together properly. And then we did some development work on that with notes and going back and forth.
And
so it was its own thing to that end.
Yeah, beautifully said, Joanna. I was just going to say, I think love is at the core of what makes any project work. And that's in every aspect of the performance, the writing, the producing, the editing, the shooting. It's the love that you bring to it. It's like putting your heart into it. I really think that's the key to creating authentic, beautiful, evergreen stories. So there was just a lot of love in every aspect of the process. And yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've mentioned, and thank you, Joanna, for filling us in on with also your experience of working on this. And Joslyn, I defer to you to continue to invite your other collaborators in as
I will. I'll just call them each in so they get.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I'm wondering too, what your trajectory is for probably most of the people on this experience tonight of this Zoom call have some familiarity with film production and with the life of being involved with film, knowing that it's very common to have many different parallel projects going on all at the same time at different stages of development. And but for those of you who don't, that this is the way it is. So what is your projection for the feature at this point? What's happening with it now? And for those of you that were involved as producers for the short, do you foresee your relationship with the feature project changing, evolving? What is that like for all of you?
I mean, I can jump in as the EP. One of the reasons, like the main reasons we went in and did butterfly boxing the short for me is so that we can have a proof of concept to sell the feature. When I read the script for shadow boxing, I mean, I loved it. I loved the characters. I loved the world. But what I really loved was the magical realism of it all. And reading words is a much different experience from visualizing. For me, I have a very visual mind. So I was able to understand Joslyn's vision and see like the butterflies popping off of the screen and, you know, being taken into a different world while you're sort of in this contemporary world, and just understanding like jumping in and out of modern time and this sort of fantasy world. But not a lot of people can see that, especially when you're talking about buyers and financiers who have a more linear business mind. And so, you know, this is a visual industry. And as a producer, my job is to push the project forward and hopefully find that financing and find that buyer. So I said, let's just shoot a short film so that we can get people to understand her vision and fall in love with it just as much as I and all of the actors and the creators and the producers did just from reading the script. And so I think we accomplished that with butterfly boxing. Like you see the wonderful performances of, you know, Harper and Alphonse, and, you know, hopefully they'll still be attached to our feature, which is the goal. And so we can use that to get people really invested and get that financing and or possibly just create the film on our own and take it out to the independent film market, and then hopefully get a buyer from there, I think would be the ultimate goal.
Yeah. Do you have any concerns about having financing and what that might do to creative control and that sense of like really mutually supportive family trust that is so at the foundation of the short?
Well, that's one of the reasons why I like the idea of trying to get full financing for the feature film, because we would be able to have much more creative control. Joslyn's vision for the film can come to life. The actors' performances can really breathe in the way that we want it to breathe, versus going directly to a studio or a buyer who, of course, you know, they want the creative to live, but they also have all of their other considerations that you have to take in. That could alter what the ultimate product turns out. So I love the idea of just being able to finance it on our own, create the project that we really want, and then sell it from there. Because I think, you know, in modern times, really that has been successful for a lot of films. If you can just really just get people to see your vision, execute it, and then go from there to the studio network side.
Thank you. Beautifully put. And I was in my own head, I was confused, flipping, getting it financed with selling it. So yeah, absolutely. I hope that I really put all the positive energy I can out in the world for you to be able to maintain that creative control. Yeah, I didn't know if any of your other team members would like to hear.
I would love to have Erica Connor and Dominique Mouton and Shania join us too, as we just finished talking about the team and the process. Erica and I had a really incredible journey with getting the photography on this. And there's a photographer named Jamel Shabazz in New York who is really well known for documenting the early hip hop era on the streets of New York. What he's most well known for is a phenomenal artist and photographer. And I had the opportunity to work with him a couple of years ago on a project I was creating called the Museum of Light. And so I instantly thought of him, and that photograph that says "Make Art, Not War" is one of his iconic images, and he was kind enough to let us use all of his photos on the walls, along with B. Malik, who's also an Oakland photographer. But Erica was just instrumental in that journey with the photos and on set and everything. So since Erica's here, I'll let I'll let Erica speak. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, hello everybody. So Joslyn and I actually met, gosh, in 2000 maybe. We met.
It was 2001, I want to say.
Maybe 2001. And at that time I was in development on my first feature, which was Idlewild, featuring Outkast and Terrence Howard and the late great Cicely Tyson. And as I'm developing the project, I get this phone call from the front receptionist, says, "Hey, there's a director that's here that wants to meet with you." And Joslyn walks in, and I think you may have been developing something with DMX. I think you had foresight to see that DMX was going to be a film star, and we didn't have that foresight vision. We were like, I don't know, Joslyn, it's going to be a hard catch. But what I loved is that she was just had that go-getter energy, and she had the vision. And I said, let me see your materials. When I read her materials, everything that she had on page, I literally saw it come to life. And I knew then, this is a filmmaker that I do want to work with. And so we just always kept in contact and kept saying, when the right time comes, we're going to work together. And when I got that phone call from Joslyn and said, I found it, I have to have you on this project, I said, send it to me. And two words keep coming up, and that's magical realism and time. And I've always been fascinated with both. I think they go hand in hand. Obviously, when you watch Idlewild, it was very much that magical realism. I was rooted in that from The Wiz, from magical movies in that sense. And so instantly I was attracted to the project. And as we're going through the pages and we're at the scenes where we're in the laundromat, and she goes, I have to have art, and I want art that reflects the culture and what's happening. And so both of us was like Jamel Shabazz and all these great artists that we were talking about. And it was so beautiful because when we picked up the phone, again, this is an independent film. We didn't have budgets for this. And this was really based off of who's the director. Let me read a piece of the materials. A lot of it is, as a producer, you have to be the Avon lady. You're the sell, you know what I mean? You got to go and knock on those doors and be able to convince that this is the product that you want. And so it was beautiful in the way that these men called back and was like, no, my art has to be in her film. It's not about you guys begging us. And here it is. It was on a silver platter for us. So I've always been, like I said, fascinated in that world. And so then when we started piecing it together with the talent, J. Alphonse, to me, he's not an actor, he's an instrument, because he plays his roles in that way. When I think about Hill Harper is one of our foundation of just class, tangibility. You understand him in his delivery. And then to bring on Don, I mean, Don is, you look at him, he's a jazz instrument, he's a poet. Then at the last minute, like we said, we were like 12th hour, like, who's Rose? And then Kimberly to come in and just be very effortless in a way that she did her purees, and very ballerina, very feminine, and very just, you know, what do I need to do to gel this and to make it work? So it just felt very effortless. And then getting on set in the height of COVID, and knowing that, you know, looking to my peers like Dom and Selena and making it work, like how we're gonna make this work, because there were times that we could not actually come on set with Joslyn. We had to be from afar. But because her vision was so strong, we trusted it, you know, and then she trusted us in the end part to say, hey, here's the outlook. How do you guys think about this? So I hope that your shadow box comes to fruition, because it was sort of a two-part for me, because that came first. When I read that, and I was like, I have to be part of this. And then she said, well, this is right here. This is a goal right here. So any project that she's part of, I'm like, just ring me, Joslyn. I'm so down for it. Yeah.
Grateful, Erica.
Yeah.
So grateful. Yeah. And then we brought Dominique on board, and Dominique happens to be from Oakland. I don't know if we can bring Dominique to the.
Sure. And I'm going to suggest that that in quick succession, Joslyn, you invite each of your remaining team partners in with a quick prompt and a question, because I'd love for us to hear from all of them. And then I do want to make sure that we do have some time, because I know that our audience members also have questions that they came with, and now even more that they've gotten to hear you speak, they'll be able to continue to ask all of you as director, producers, actors, more questions too. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So Dominique came on board and is from Oakland. And so there was a connection right there instantly for us, a lot of chemistry, and there was a lot of stress. Me and Dominique were on the phone. I actually slept on my parents' floor the night before the shoot. I don't know, it was a really crazy week. And me and Dominique, it was really crazy. Me and Dominique and Erica, I believe we were on the phone till about 4 a.m. and call time was 5. So I didn't sleep and directed. Really, nobody noticed that I hadn't slept. It was not a problem. But Dominique, you were just so amazing, both during those moments and on set. Would love to hear anything you feel inspired to share about just, you know, the process.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Joslyn, I mean, I really feel like it's Oakland that brought us together. I think we met through when you were on the panel speaking about my project at the time, Lower Bottoms.
Yes.
And we bonded at that point, and like we're aligned so closely with our vision about Oakland.
Dominique, just so everyone knows, Dominique's talking about Lower Bottoms, the scripted podcast, first of its kind on Will Packer, iHeart, starring Kelsey Grammer, Debbie Allen, like an amazing show. You guys should listen. It's funny and fun and very important stuff, gentrification, all of the above. So, but yes.
No, thank you for that. And, you know, I think we just saw eye to eye on like what Oakland is and the changes, and like thematically, we were just on the same page with like, you know, being from Oakland and just witnessing these, feeling powerless in the changes that are happening in your city and not feeling part of a lot of those positive elements. And then you as an artist it was so inspiring about the passion you brought to this project. And you are a trooper, Jocelyn. I will say that, like, you make it happen. Like, there were so many times I was like, how are we going to get this laundromat location? And you made me believe that things that were not possible were possible. Like, I was like, there's no way we're going to find someone in Berkeley to give us a laundromat for free. Like, that was just not going to happen. And it happened. And so many times we just talked about like the magic that happened on the set. And even through those times that we, you know, there was times and pre and post production where things got, you know, tricky, but, you know, we're here now, and the film came out, and, you know, we just powered through those tough times. And just working with all of these amazing, you know, female producers, that was just also another really big draw to me, like being able to, you know, just say that this is a women-led film, truly from top to bottom. And of course, working with Alphonse and Hill and Kimberly and Donald, I mean, they were all amazing. Just, they came in and killed it, like just, you know, just killed it for lack of a better word. And so just everything about this was amazing. And I think that started with Joslyn. So thank you, Joslyn.
Thank you, Dominique, for helping this come to fruition. And you mentioned magical realism. I'll just say that I think something that my writing I try to echo is that finding the extraordinary within the ordinary of our lives is where magical realism lives every day. And that's where the magic of life is, but there has to be love in that for you to see, you know, the extraordinary, because love is extraordinary. And with that, Shania and Nick Mahar, if we can just bring our last two, I don't think Matthew Head is here, so unless I'm wrong, Shania and Nick, I'd love to have you guys join us on this panel as we wrap up. Shania came to me by way of the East Coast, and she was just phenomenal in producing the heck out of every logistical aspect. And I'm sure Erica and Dominique and Selena and Joanna could testify to how instrumental she was in keeping this afloat. So.
And I would say that to second everyone's notion, I was sold on Joslyn before I was even sold on the script. Joanna called me and said, hey, you know, Joslyn's creating this film, and I was already in. I was just like, absolutely love her work, want to work with her. So you didn't even have to tell me anything about the project. I was already in. And one thing, you know, the pandemic was a blessing and a curse, but the one thing it did was slow down everybody's busy lives so that authentic connections can be made. And I think that's me and Joslyn met during the pandemic virtually. And then just that authentic conversation is kind of what led to this. So instantly, once I got that call, I was in. And then when I read that script, the same topic that everyone's touching on is that magical realism. I've yet to even tap into a project, because I've been working in independent filmmaking for 8 years now. So I have yet to tap into a project that depicted magical realism in such a way. Especially being able to just read the script and instantly see exactly what this director wanted. So that was the second thing that sold me on it. So whether I was on the West Coast or the East Coast, I knew I wanted to be in on this project and just be a part of watching this magic, whether it had funding or not, or whatever the case may be. I was sold into this. So I'm very excited to see how this feature comes out. I hope it gets everything that it deserves. And it was a blessing just to be able to be a part of the team virtually. Because again, I was on the East Coast and I was in, like, if it was 9 o'clock on my side, I was like, yes, we're joining this meeting. Let's see, you know, what else do we need to get? We need the shop, we need the images. How can I be a part of this? So I really appreciate that, Joslyn, and the rest of the team. You all did an amazing job. When I saw the footage back, I was just like, this is what you guys are on set doing. I was so glad I missed out on it. I couldn't be there in person.
You were amazing, Shania. Thank you so much for just everything you just shared and your amazing creative spirit. And Nick Mahar is here. I'm going to put Nick on the spot on the stage for a moment, if that's okay. And just, Nick and I, we have worked together before. We actually did a piece in 2017, was it, Nick? Are you still here, Nick? I hope you are.
Nick is actually apologizing in the chat. He says, sorry, I'm listening, but I'm putting my kids to bed.
Okay, yeah, he had twins last year.
Speaking of family, right?
Yeah. But anyway, Nick is just an incredible DP. And we met, I directed a pilot that he was the DP on a few years ago, and we stayed in touch, and we've just always wanted to find that one project. And he just brought so much literal light to the project. And he spent hours just with me on mood boards and pre-production and figuring out what the lighting was going to be. And I just I love light. So, and without shadows, there is no light. Without light, there is no shadow. So he's just like a masterful lighting technician as well, which I think any director of photography, cinematographer needs to be, but he's an artist and his art really came through. One of the awards we actually won at a festival recently was for best cinematography. So yeah, just beautiful work that Nick did. And I'm just so grateful that he donated his time, having just had twins. And I think he left the twins in LA so that he could shoot this during the pandemic, which was really amazing. That's right, Nick? Yeah, so, yeah, and I'm just so grateful for this team. And yeah, for Shadowbox to come, you all, I'm hoping, will be available to be a part of that.
Yeah, I just want to.
I want to chime in and say something too, and it goes back to the magical realism. When you are a dreamer and you meet other dreamers, this is what happens. You cocoon into butterflies. And so it goes back to when we were saying we were in a height of the pandemic. And I think one thing that I probably was wearing Joslyn out, I'm like, wait a minute, what about the COVID testing and the compliance rules? And I don't want to get shut down. And she was like, just get your ass here. We'll figure it out. I'm making a movie. Nothing's going to stop this process. And nothing stopped it, with all of us having our own jobs that were on hold. Also to figure out like, okay, we get there. Do we have everything in place? Just like Shania is saying, I'm in New York, so she's already 3 hours ahead of us. So she's already ahead of us by the time we get our marching orders. The night that me, Joslyn, and Dom, I mean, we were some badass women from 1 o'clock, for what, 2 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the morning. We took care of business that needed to be taken care of business and stamped to make that production run the next morning. And we showed up, nobody knew what happened.
Right.
It was like that old adage with your mom, when you leave this house, you don't take your business outside. Showed up, we had smiles on our faces. And because one thing about Joslyn is that in adversity, she shines even more. And it's almost like she's just a trooper. She was like, nothing's gonna get me down, like, let's just go. And it happened. And me and Dominique, one time we were standing by the door because we had to sneak in just to make sure. We're like, we're not supposed to be on set, but we're going to sneak in the door to make sure that things were flowing. And we both looked at each other and high-fived and was like, fuck, we pulled this shit off. Considering what we went through just last night. So I like to say that collectively, when women get together and the empowerment that we have, it is unstoppable. And it was such a beautiful moment to sit on that set and turn around and look and go, oh my God, look at all these women and all these different voices. But most importantly, the men like Hill and Don and Alphonse and Nick, you guys embraced us and you guys trusted us. And that is the biggest gift that a woman that is a producer could ever have, because we're already coming in at a deficit. And it's just, you did nothing but pronounce class on set. So it just made our jobs effortlessly. So I absolutely love the process and hope that I'm part of the other process when you go into features. So it's great.
Definitely.
That was beautiful, Erica.
Yeah,
That
thank
was
you.
just really so much of what has been said tonight. I was like, just so many different individual statements that have been made. I'm like, yes, that is what our art is about. And that is what life is about. Like all of this wrapped together and the magical and making it real. You know, it's just, I'm realizing like you are taking the magical realism and taking the magic out of what you have done and bringing it into reality through, you are embodying the reality of that magic.
It's interesting because the San Francisco Film Festival had premiered a film called Micmacs in 2000 and I want to say 10, probably around that time. And I went to the premiere and the director, Jean-Pierre Jeunet, was there. That's why I went, because I wanted to talk to him and he was going to do a Q&A. And I knew his work because he did a film called Amélie several years before that. And Amélie is one of my favorite films, and it really does deal in magical realism. And I asked Jean-Pierre Jeunet during the Q&A, I said, what tool, like what's your favorite tool as a filmmaker? And he said, using the whole toolbox. And to me, that's what filmmaking is. It's using the whole toolbox. It's everyone here. It's the actors. It's Hill and Alphonse and Dawn and Kim, and it's Selena and Shania and Erica and Dominique and all of us coming together. And Joanna, who was actually overseas, I want to say, during production, but still was able to help make sure everything was happening. But it's all of us as instruments, as tools, and it's just a very collaborative process. And just being an echo chamber for what Erica said about women in film, being that it's Women's Month and this is Women in Film, and I just want to honor like the women in film. And when I was promoting Stand with Showtime, one of the questions that continued to come up was just what is it like being a woman director in this space and being a woman in film. And I think that you walk in the room and often you're seen as a woman first and as a director second. And I just love the fact that this group here, we all just see each other as artists who want to create things from love. So that's what I believe we did, and so grateful for this team. And yeah, I just want to be more grateful.
In the spirit of collaboration and collectiveness and inviting people in and to raise their voices, I want to invite our audience to now ask questions, to engage. And for those of you not as familiar with raising your hand in a Zoom room, right along the bottom of the screen is a little icon that says reactions, and there is something that says raise hand. So if you can raise your hand, and or if we don't see it, maybe just pipe in with your voice, make sure your camera's on, and we'll figure out how to make it all happen. And again, thank you to all of the producers for really bringing your voices into this. Do we have folks who'd like to ask questions?
I'd love to ask a question.
Sure.
Joslyn, it's Julie. I just want to know, and I often ask the same question to directors and producers, but if you could just tell me, what was your best day and what was your worst day on set?
My best day and my worst day on set were the same day. It was the worst day because I did not sleep, and I tried to sleep, but I had to sleep on my parents' floor, which was really strange. And I was on the phone with my producers until, 4 a.m. I was really concerned that the production was not going to be able to go forward because of a lot of mess. If you could bring Erica and Dominique back down so I don't lose it out of laughter. It's just funny because it was just, filmmaking is not as glamorous as you think. Like, people look at our craft and they think, wow, it looks just so beautiful and glossy. And it's the diamond, it's the pearl, like the friction of the sand inside the oyster, like grinding to create a pearl. That process of making that pearl, or that fire, the alchemy that creates that diamond, it's not an easy, beautiful process. What we see, like this beautiful pearl, this diamond afterwards, the butterfly boxing, beautiful. The process was not, and never really is. And I think it's a great signpost if you are facing resistance and having your worst day, you can trust, even in those difficult moments, that there's light right on the other side of that. And the greater the shadow, the brighter the light. So for me, it was a great sign. And Erica and Dominique were there to remind me of that in those moments that were kind of like the worst day. And then they were the best day. And Hill Harper showed up with so much light and just so much vision. It just like turned the whole day upside down. And the same thing with Alphonse, the same thing with Dawn and Kim. It was like they just brought it, and Nick brought it, and everyone brought it. And it was the best day because the light was that much brighter, right? Like stars shine brighter at night.
Yeah.
And all of my actors are stars. They shined brighter because it was so dark. So,
I have a question.
Yeah. Before you ask, if I could just put Erica back on the spot, because Erica was sending me text messages about the light. And I believe Selena, actually from afar, was doing the same. Erica was on set, Selena was in LA, but it was like you guys were reminding me that worst day is really your best day. It's just the other side.
Well, also too, really quickly, because in defeat, it's interesting because you never were going to, I can hear in your voice that you were never going to give up. It was just, I need a solution. And at that moment, I felt like, I was like, this is my Ali, and I got to be in her corner, remind her that she's a champ. And we got to get to the ring in 4 hours. And it was so interesting because I think when we called Dom was asleep, and she was so like, hello. and we were like, Dom, we got a problem. And she was so calm to our nervousness and our hyperness, like, okay, this is what we're going to do. Give me an hour. I got to make a phone call. I'm going to call you guys back. And in between that hour, I'm sure it probably felt like 24 hours to Joslyn, because she would call back, "Where's Dom?" I'm like, "We just hung up with her 3 minutes ago." You know, and to then see her when she realized I have the right, what had to happen was she had to remind herself, it's okay, I have the right team around me. Because at that moment, none of us could crumble. And you have to be in a position, like she said, this is not a glamorous business, you guys. The reward is at the end of it, behind that, after that camera turns off. Even when you're going through the edit, that's still a struggle too. Once that camera turns off, that reward is, once it's a playback and you realize, oh my God, that pressure that I made that just turned into this diamond is beautiful. And then just like she said, a lot of people have egos in this business. And 4 people did not have egos, and that was Hill, J. Alphonse, Dawn, and Kim. So when they showed up on set, it just made all of what was happening behind the scenes like, oh, because they didn't feel it. We didn't make you guys feel what was just happening in 24 hours. So you guys came in at ease. And it was so complimentary. It was like, wow, this is beautiful. I remember when Dawn came in, he wasn't even working that day. And I said, Dawn, just come down and sit on set, just so you could just feel the energy and feel the love. And he turned around, he said, sis, thank you so much for this, because now I know when I show up tomorrow, I know where I got to get in. So my job was butterfly boxing. I got to come in and be the coach for everybody, you know? And so it just was magical. But like I said, when you're a dreamer in your head and you have all those people that were dreamers around you, this is what happens. It was really beautiful.
Well said, everybody. That's awesome.
That's great. I almost did my thesis on, I think I've experienced sometimes the nature, the dynamic of the story of a play or film often plays itself out amongst the cast and crew. And by having this story infused with love, it infused the production of it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. We do have a few more questions. I do want to be respectful of people's times. We are at 8:30 and I see 3 raised hands. We have a question from Esha Bargate, a question from Megan Reese, and a question from Carol Lee. Are people okay to stay a few minutes extra?
Yeah.
Okay, I realize we're pushing it. I know, Hill, you're on the East Coast, I think, and you're Donald, you're in never time. So, okay, great. Let's take a question from Esha.
Hi, this is Isha Bargate from San Francisco. It is a nice meeting with you, all of them, and I'm really excited. I'm working on a project related to a reality show, and I pitched a streaming service recently, so I'm still waiting for the answer. This is my 6th pitch to the same streaming service. But what is the right way to pitch a network?
We're gonna give that question to Selena.
Selena, why don't you come down? Selena's a TV executive, so she, among many other things, but one of her jobs is working in television, unscripted specifically, for a large studio. So Selena, if you're available to come down, maybe you can answer Esha's question.
Hi.
Hi, yeah. I mean, the easiest and the quickest answer is to partner with a production company or an agent, because networks can't take unsolicited pitches. So if you don't have an established show and or a production company, it's just like network executives, we legally cannot take pitches. So that's probably one of the reasons why you haven't heard an answer. So it's always best to get representation who can cut through all the red tape and say, hey, I have a great idea for my client who blah, 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 and then go from there.
Yeah, I have a production house. I like collaborate with somebody else. He has a good production house. He worked for the Discovery and everywhere, but I'm still waiting for the answer. And I don't know why, but my idea is very good, but maybe the luck or something, I don't know. Yeah.
Really, really, really hard to get a show, on a network at this time, but, hopefully you'll hear back from whoever you reached out to.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate your answer. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Got to keep pushing, and when you least expect it, it'll finally come about. Yeah. Megan.
Hi. Firstly, I just wanted to thank all of you for sharing, for being here, and for your art. It's like really inspiring and humbling to just be listening to all of you. I wanted to ask what y'all think about. So I'm, proudly born and raised in the Bay Area, and I want to tell Bay Area stories, and I would like to be shooting in the Bay Area. And it's starting to happen. Like, I feel like we're starting to get some attention with some Oakland TV shows and movies. And I'm just wondering if you see more of that coming, and like, are we having a moment? Or do you think there's going to be more work happening here?
I mean, yes, Boots Riley is actually premiering his new scripted series, I Am a Virgo, at the San Francisco International Film Festival. It's going to be the closing night film. I think it's April 23rd or April 27th. And Boots Riley did Sorry to Bother You Here a few years ago. Blind Spotting is in its second season, I want to say, or third. And Joanna was one of the originals on the Blind Spotting project. And Rafael Casal and David Diggs have continued to shoot a lot of that here. It's obviously also about Oakland, and specifically women is one of the themes in it, women in Oakland. So yes, I think Oakland will continue to grow in its filmmaking and its artistry. And I've just, continued to see it expand. So Dominique also, I mean, she has The Lower Bottoms, which is about Oakland. I think projects about cities that are true to, who those cities are and who they're becoming are imperative. I mean, if we want to know where we're going, we do need to know where we've been. And I do think it's important for people from here to continue to push the boundaries of their art. So I support you in whatever way I can as another fellow Oakland filmmaker.
Great, thanks. And Carol Lee, you're next.
Hi, I have a question for Joslyn. I think it's really great that you've made the short to leverage in order to garner support for the feature film. I'm just wondering, how do you go about finding investors and others who will support the film?
The amazing thing about our industry, at least from my lens, is that there's no one way. There's no formula. It's not linear. I actually have a very spiritual approach to it. So it sounds kind of like, oh, you visualize it and it happens. Yes. Those investors will find the project. They actually already have to some degree. And it's just a matter of you believing in what you're doing enough to where someone else can see it and feel it. And that is just my approach to my art. Everyone is different. And there are, logistical ways you go about it. Of course, I have my agent sending out the script, and I'm repped by CAA, and I have management. I think Blacksmith might even be on the call. But yes, you have your team will help you send out the script. You have people you can send it to. One of the things Sundance Labs kind of taught me when I went through that program a few years ago for a short I premiered at Sundance London called Looking Glass, was they just said that it's important to send your material to everyone you can all the time. Like, you should be making calls every week, every day. It never sleeps. Your dream never sleeps. It's kind of a, no pun, I guess, dreams don't sleep. That's an interesting one. Joanna, can you write that one down? But yes, I think that it's always there. And, everyone here, I mean, we're all dreamers, but we also believe in what we're creating. So, yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can pitch your projects out. I think taking meetings is really important, and sending your material out and getting feedback. And I had to put Shadowbox down for about a year because I was directing a documentary called Stand. So I'm just kind of picking it back up again. And yeah, it's coming back to life even stronger than before. So grateful.
Thanks.
Thanks for your question.
We had a couple questions in the chat, and I think that'll close us out unless there were others. But Shirley, they're related, so I'll read them together. Charlene Rowley asked, where can we see this great film? And Jeffrey Grant writes, is it possible to read the script?
Butterfly Boxing is not available for public viewing, just because we made it kind of as a development project and have been putting it in internal festivals. And So it's unfortunately not available for the public. And if that changes, I will certainly let the world know. But the script is not available anywhere either. So I will consider with the team here, we'll talk about that, all of this, and see if there's a way to make it available for you all to read.
I think we lost J. Alphonse, but I wanted to, I'll close this out with reading a comment. That was the last comment that came in from Kristen Tisch. Please forgive me if I'm mispronouncing your name, Kristen. But she writes that this has been a great event. I'm very inspired by Joslyn's positive energy and all of the amazing experience of everyone on her team. Thank you for sharing your stories, magic, and dreams. And I really think she speaks for all of us who are here tonight. And I just want to say thank you. The stories that all of you've shared and your real deep honesty and sharing from your hearts. I'm just really super grateful. There's not enough words to really express how grateful I am to you for the work that you've done, and also for really sharing with us another side of making art together and bringing people's hearts together, because there's so many stories of in Hollywood of backstabbing and backbiting and competition and distrust, and it doesn't have to be that way. This is really the way it can be and should be, and the way that it is. So thank you for all that you're doing, and thank you, strong women, for representing, for holding each other up, lifting each other up, bringing each other together. And thank you, strong feminist men, for supporting these women with all of your love and support and contributions too. Thanks for being family, and thanks for making this just an incredible Women's Month celebration for us.
Well, we thank you for the platform and giving us a voice to have this conversation, because many times short films are seen, but we're not seeing that's behind the scene. And so I think that's really important. And I think for the filmmakers, one of the women that was asking about building her film, it's an old saying, build your fence around you. And so your team is your fence. And so I think that's what you have to kind of take that with you as you're building your project. It's not just about your project. Take the ego out of it and just build your fence.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, I wish I could have gone in depth into all of your bios and backgrounds, but check people out on that same registration page that everybody registered. You have the names, look people up. And I've J. Alphonse and Donald and Hill Harper. I've been able to do seen a lot of great videos of you. The rest of you great women producers, I'm going to look and see if I can find some additional interviews with you too, either in print or, online or videos, because I'd love to hear more about your philosophy of creating art. So thank you. And I wish you all the greatest success. And
it's good to see everybody. Hill and Erica and Joslyn and Dominique and Selena. Man, I had no idea you guys was putting out fires. Did you, Hill? It was cool on the set.
At all.
Thank
And
you.
we honor, and a great producer too honors talents requests, because Hill was very, very specific. I need to be in and I need to be out in 3 days, and no one could know that I'm here. And we honored that, and the graciousness that he gave us, because it meant something to me, Hill, when we were walking you outside and you were waiting on your car service, and you said, one more thing, thank you for honoring what I asked for you guys to do. And we just appreciate that, because you kept your word and you came through. So that was just very minor, because sometimes you get on set and everybody wants a picture and everybody's like, oh my God, I'm on set, Hill Harper's here. So we were very adamant about that. Like, turn the phone off, no phones. Hill is showing up today. We got to get him in and we got to get him out. And he came in, and like I said, he came in with class, professionalism, and just graciousness. So thank you.
Thank you.
Kimberly, I wish you that all of your future experiences in film remain.
Thank you. I appreciate
Come
it.
work with us, Kimberly.
Okay, I'm here. I'm out here,
And I'm just really looking forward to, I hope that there will be a big premiere of Shadowbox, if either at the Grand Lake or the Paramount.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Just decided.
We'll see us all there.
We'll
look forward to it.
Okay, Great.
Thank you so much, Amy.
That's
Thank you all.
great.
for the film.
Thank you. It's nice
Erica.
to see people on
Bye-bye.
screen.
Bless
Bye.
everybody.
Bye. Thank you. We appreciate you joining us this evening. Goodbye, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
Yeah, now y'all saying goodnight. It's 3:42. I drank coffee to stay up this late. Somebody got to stay up with me.
Hey,
I can't sleep.
It's time
Good
for
morning,
bed,
y'all.
Donald. It's time for bed.
That's right. Good night.
Erica, so good to see you, girl.
Oh, good to see you, Dawn.
Oh my God. I didn't get to say we had one Zoom meeting when we first met, and she and I connected like we've known each other
Yes.
forever. She is just so dope. Just
Yeah.
straight up. I just had to say that.
Thank you, Dawn. I can't wait till you're back in the States. So we
Yeah,
can see
yeah,
each
yeah.
other. Yeah.
No doubt. No doubt.
All right. See you
This
guys
was
later.
great. Hey, wait, Amy, is that your mom?
That is Mom.
Happy birthday, Mom, belatedly.
Mom and sister was here earlier, Tracy, but she's logged off too. But yeah, what
This
an
was great.
incredible.
Thank you so
group of
much for
people.
having me. I enjoyed it. It was good
I
seeing
went-
everybody.
You scared me when you said you were going to be out of the country when I first invited you to tonight, and then you were like, "No, I'll do it." So
Yeah.
thank you.
All right. Peace and blessings to all. God bless.
God
Keep
bless.
having a
night.
beautiful time.
Morning. Good
I'd like
day.
to say
whatever-
thank you to all of our members for coming out.
Hi, Mom.
tonight. Thank you very much to our members for coming out. And if you're not a member and you'd like to become one, please visit our website at womeninfilmbayarea.org. Good night, everybody. Drive safe.